think you were going to do? What did your dad do? Did he think you were going to follow in his footsteps?
My dad was my parents, first of all, split up when I was 11 and a half. So my relationship with my dad isn't, yeah, it's pretty distant, although in later years, you know, we've been able to forge a closer relationship. But when I was growing up, he wasn't around very much. I was very close to my mother, and my mother always encouraged my music and recognized very, very early on how passionate I was about my music.
Some pretty good dialogues with yourself over the years, some of which turned into songs. And what set off those thoughts? How did you get yourself to a space where you were telling yourself to never surrender? Who was trying to conquer you? What was trying to conquer you?
Well, I think that because I set my goals so early on in my career, and I mean, I should say, in my life, at 15 or 16, I was out there knocking on doors trying to get a record deal. And the credo of never surrender became part of who I was. And it was almost like, well, it's too obvious to write a song about never surrender because it is what I've always been saying to myself, and it didn't seem to make sense to actually write a song about it. And had I really followed my instincts, Never Surrender would have been on First Offense album, because the song, the idea of the song had always been there. The melody came, you know, after that first album was done, but the actual idea and lyric for the song I'd written when I was a teenager.
Tell me about some of the people who guessed on the album. You got Terence Trent D'Arby. How did you hook up with him?
Well, we were at the same recording studio. He was doing some demos, I think, for the new album, and I was recording there. And I worked on a track called The Day That He Was There, Love and Money, which is a reggae number. And
is it ever?
We exchanged stories, you know, about the music business and about music and about peaks and valleys, you know, so to speak. And I, after feeling a connection with him, I asked him to, you know, go in the studio and lay down a harmony on top of the chorus, and he just came up with this octave thing that was just sensational.
And Duff, the Duffster?
Do you know him?
No.
Oh, he's a very charming rock and roll man.
Well, charming is not the first word that comes to mind, so you're getting to see another side of it.
It was literally by chance again that we connected, and I was stacking up vocals, background vocals on 92 Days of Rain, and really needed another texture, and I just asked him if he'd come in and sing with me.
And Jane Sibley?
Jane wasn't by accident, and wasn't by chance, it was by design. And Jane and I have been friends for about 5 years now. Very strange way we became friends, actually, but we have you know, developed a bond between each other and towards each other, I should say. And I wanted her to sing on songs from the Portuguese when I was writing the song. The love you give, the love you give, will to lift my spirit high.
I'm real pleased that you're back with your songs. And again, I think it's the strongest songwriting that you've done.
So
very focused, very cohesive. Did you worry over them at all, or did they just come pretty organically?
No, I mean, they came organically, and I felt once I had written about 7 or 8 of them that I had the nucleus of a pretty strong album. And Terry, you know as much as I do, a lot has to do with timing, and a lot has to do with certainly the talent and the songs, but a lot has to do with other factors, and it's up to the gods, you know, it's not up to me anymore.
Up to the gods?
Yeah, it's just a literal sense, you know.
It's not up to some guy in a 3-piece suit somewhere?
Those are the gods.
Come to think of it.
Well, the new single in Canada and the first single in the U.S., a song called Baby When I Call Your Name, some of the music to that I wrote when I was 17. And I didn't know that, though. I didn't go back and say, well, I need to pull something out. I just started playing, and I had, I went into the verse, and suddenly I just fell into this B section, and it was, wow, you know, that melody is back in high school. It's an awakening. It really, I totally had forgotten about the song. And I rearranged the lyric, but I decided at that point that the lyric should be very simple, and it's a tale of Erica and I and our history together.
You know what's really neat about this? I can remember when you wouldn't even talk about your relationship with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
This was this unnamed, and I like the fact that you're very open in talking about it. And
well, you know, when I started writing songs, some of my love songs had nothing to do with Erica. They were just fantasy or imagination.